Hey there, everybody. I'm just hopping on to offer a tuning specific to the economy of love. And that is sort of an interesting way to sort of work with the individual transactions that we have related to what we value in the world, and that could show up in the form of business or money or transactions. But what also dropped in for me is how we are showing up for the exchange of love. So there's this interesting crossover between love and money, and for some folks, for most of us, there may be challenges in that space. And so I was just really interested in showing up, and it just became really clear to me that that was something that I wanted to work on with you all. So we're just going to see what shows up. My placeholder for the intention is this great piece of pyrite that I have. It's otherwise known as fool's gold. And it's a great stone for prosperity in general, in my experience. And the way this shows up, this stone does, is that it has a cubical sort of structure. Yeah, I'm just always really drawn to it. So this is what we're going to use as a placeholder. And like any of these tunings, you could be listening to it at any time, and you're included with intention. So at this moment, with your intention and my intention, I'm going to place the with the words with the economy of love right here. So here we are. And like any tuning, we're going to start in by anchoring everybody's earth star and just see what's going on. This is an energy center that lives 8 to 12 inches or so below your feet. You could imagine that this is the negative terminal of the battery that's your body. And then we'll move upstairs to the sun star. And what we're going for here is a flow of energy and electricity in your body and in your space. And I'm just going to see what shows up in the collective here. And as you exhale, you want to imagine that you're doing so out of the base of your spine and the bottom of your feet. Let all that move through, because sometimes things show up in these sessions and they can have an emotional charge. We tend to hold our breath when that happens, and we want to make sure everything's moving. So, my friends, let's see what's going on here for you, okay? So what I'm noticing here is that it feels like there might have been a lot of clearing out. This has kind of been showing up consistently. And so anywhere in your life that you've been diligent around doing some major house cleaning, releasing, reevaluating, all of that's really important. And sometimes when we clear those spaces out, there's like that empty space, that in between, where new stuff hasn't shown up yet. And that's okay. There's also this feeling of kind of looking around to anchor in what was previously known or grounded in one's experience. And it feels like there's been a fundamental shift around that. And you could think about that also related to the way that our planet's relating to resources and finances, and maybe things that were taken for granted for given are no longer there. You know, it's all up for grabs in some ways. We're going through a major transition. So I'm going to go in with a couple sonic sliders here as if I'm on either side of the jaw here for everybody. We're going to make some space for that to open up, okay? Because it feels like there might be some constriction there. Maybe clenching the jaw, keeping a lot of energy in the head, and we want to open that up. So anywhere that you feel like you might want to talk it out or talk it through, or Connect with trusted people in your life as sounding boards. There you go. And also, this is showing up as almost an internal dialogue too. So if there's the space to write out questions or articulate some pathways for additional information to open that up. There you go. Because you know what? All that energy needs a home. It wants a space to be expressed. Okay? And maybe it's good to reorganize energy and resources so they're more efficient, that they're in alignment with what you're really hoping for and desiring. Okay? There you go. Okay. Interesting. So as we drop this in, I'm getting a sticky spot in the solar plexus area. And this just feels like where things are kind of almost calcified and where it just feels like there's some sticky stuff here, whatever that might be. So I'm going to use a 528 in a crystal. We're going to loosen this all up and make some space here. So anywhere that there's a feeling of lack, or I'm not allowed, or I can't have that, or be that, or do that, or feel that way, let's open that up, okay? Because you're a force of nature, friend. And anywhere that you feel like you need to apologize for what you need, let's make space for that to move, okay? All right, we're gonna drop this in here. There you go. Nice. Just gonna invite everyone to notice all the amazing stuff that you've experienced in your life. All those spaces of pleasure that have brought you into connection and union, however that shows up, whether that's sharing a meal or connecting on an intimate level with in a place of love, however that shows up. There are all these different kinds of love and exchange that happen, and let's make some space for those to be grounded and safe and support your health, our health, right? There you go. Let's just make some space down here for a new, I want to say a standard of exchange, okay? Where I want to say equanimity is normalized, okay? Well, we're all hanging out on two-way streets. All right. So we're going to loosen this up because there's a little bit of energy down here of I'm hearing like, it can't be like that, or wherever those unconscious rules have been implemented, okay? And maybe they're conscious too. And if you want to, as we're working on this, you might want to put your hands on your tummy here for just a moment, okay? Just check in with your power center here. where you're metabolizing the food that you eat into energy and light. Oh, there we are. And what also drops in there is that there's space to feel abundant joy. Okay, like deep, big belly laughs. There you are. Just gonna invite everyone to breathe and notice what's showing up in your body. Make some space for those pathways of communication to open up for you. Even if that means with your higher self or source or your connection with everything that is. There you go. All right, folks, you're doing great. Let's see what's going on upstairs here. Okay, so this energy center lives the same proximity from your feet, your Earth star. This is your Sun star. And let's see what's going on up here. All right. Wow, there's a little feeling of overwhelm. If you're in the northern hemisphere, we're moving on into summer here. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by the amount of sunlight, and that could also be translated to all the solar flares that have been activated and being released our way in the solar system in 2024 and late May, June. Just want to invite you to get out of the sun if you need to. Get in the shade a little bit. Balance all that out. There you go. We're going to slowly move this up, folks. Whoa. All right. Interesting. So this time around, we're going to go, I'm going to go in with intention around the eyes because I'm just noticing a lot of, and you know, I'm out in the sun here under the shade, but it can be really intense if you're hanging out in the sun, right? Because that's really powerful energy. It's very life-giving, but it also can be a little intense. You can cook. It can be a little toasty. And I'm just going to invite everyone to really tune into a perception and vision of compassion as we move into this kind of intense topic potentially, or topics. There we go. And what does the gaze of neutrality feel like for you? Right? Or we're not hanging out in that like judgy vibe. It is what it is, and there are lots of different ways to see it and experience it and feel it. Whatever it is. Whew. And if you want to extend your spine out, stretch it out. Yeah, make space to expand into a new a new exchange rate. And what's dropping in here is like we don't maybe even know. We don't maybe have a point of reference in our recent history on the planet for what that really feels like. And it's okay for a new pattern of exchange and economy to show up in all ways. There you are. So I'm just going to invite everyone to notice this flow or this potential to open up for you, where the information and energy from up above is moving through your body into the earth, and that energy below is also moving up. So there's a two-way street, not only in our intention together, but in your electrical ecosystem. And to just invite the exchange of energy and information to be equitable in your body, right? If we're head heavy or heart heavy, it can be a little tricky. These two parts of us are real important, and their relationship together in your body and in your life is important. There you go. Nice. All right, folks, you're doing amazing. Let's see what's going on here. We're going to check in first with the east side, okay? All right, wow. Struggle, scarcity, not enough, score keeping. I'm just going to invite everyone to sort of breathe into this, all right? This is the choppy waters of, it's my turn, I want it. Anywhere that there's this pattern of competition and like I'm hearing greed for greed's sake, okay? So this is like that cultural programming that is really dominant, I think, in the Western world historically. And it you know, I'm hearing echoes of the beginnings of taxation and however that played out, and this idea of ownership, really, because in some ways we're all just borrowing resources. You know, even our atoms and our molecules, right? There's going to be an exchange, right? At some point, we're not always going to be in our bodies, and those molecules and atoms and water is going to have another adventure. So just as let's invite this awareness that things are in a flow state and not static and stagnant. That we're all just borrowing everything. Everything's an exchange. And what is also showing up here is the way in which we talk about resources and communicate around them. And this, for me, kind of drops into where we refer to a relationship or an individual and we'll say, like, this is my friend, okay, or my partner, or my son, or my mom. And yeah, on some level, that's absolutely valid, and maybe there's a way to refer to our relationships outside of possessions and ownership. It's really the space for a paradigm shift in how we perceive relationships with each other and resources. There you go. Because if we're in an environment of trust and exchange and flow state, then there's more space to share and not have to run that mine, you're mine, that's mine. I'm just going to invite everyone to notice what's going on in your body right now. I'm going to go in with a 144 and an 89, and I'm going to use these as if we're on the hands here, okay? And we'll swap out. This is just sort of a reminder to open up this flow state into the heart, because our hands and arms are an extension of that energy in our heart, and we want to make some space for that to move with a little bit more grace and not be so hard and locked in. And then I'm going to swap the hands and we'll get the current going the other direction here. All right. Great. Let's see how this sounds on the east side here. Nice. That really softened up. All right. So that feels like it loosened up the hard edges. And really invite some trust in there, because I gotta, trust has not always been a given in the spaces of exchange economically. And, in those massive structures of finances are very different than the economy of love that you might have with a neighbor, right? Where you have a level of trust with one another, and you know that you show up for each other when you need to. It's really different than these massive economic structures that don't have faces. They've kind of lost their humanity in there. And so let's bring some love back into this space of exchange. And for any of you that are small business owners or have built businesses from the foundation of your intention, that space of love is detectable. It's detectable internally and externally. And sometimes we support individuals and businesses because they're showing up in love. And we know that. And as I say that, if you are invested in some sort of structure or intention or business where the love has changed or evolved and maybe it's time to let go, that's okay too. Your energy is valuable and it's going to find a home. There you go. Oh, that feels a lot better, folks. We're going to drop this in. And what I'm hearing here is, I think this term is not great. It's called soft money. I don't think that generally means it doesn't have accountability going on there with it. But in this case, let's invite some space where that is a happy thing. It's a supportive thing, right? Softening the money up. There you go. And where it can flow, right? Because hard money doesn't flow easy. So let's make some space for money to flow with integrity. There you go. Nice. Whew. Okay, let's see what's going on. We're going to move over to the south side here. All right, wow, this is major trust stuff. This is where the rug got pulled out, the bottom fell out. And this is the love and money. Okay, this is all around. There's spaces of trauma, betrayal here. Okay, so, ooh, rough stuff. Okay, so anywhere in your history, whether that's ancestral or personal, where a change in relationship meant that there were big shifts around money that happened that were, I want to say catastrophic or profound. Let's make some space for that. Those experiences to inform wisdom and awareness and perspective versus fueling a chronic state of lack or fear. Ooh, this is rough. Yeah. All right. Anywhere that money's been used to manipulate individuals or collective populations or demographics, let's clean that up. Anywhere where individuals' lives have been translated or calculated into money or figures, let's remind everyone that lives are not money. Okay? And it's so interesting. Anywhere that I'm gonna refer to a term that's come up a lot, and it has to do with the way that when Europeans arrived in the indigenous Americas, that the tribes noticed that there was what was called like almost a sickness amongst the Europeans, in that they were obsessed with money. And there's a term for it called Watiko. And there's a lot of dialogue about how that's shown up in the world, but anywhere that our attachment to money and resources and those patterns has really dehumanized our interactions and our ethics, let's make some space for that to shift, okay? Because we need the bankers to have hearts, okay? Not just the bankers. We need everyone negotiating money to remember, of the potential impacts of those choices. Okay. There you go. And anywhere in your life that you felt like it's money or love, let's make space for both of those to make some peace in the world. And make space for rather than have to's to be replaced with choose to's or want to's. Folks, you're doing amazing. I'm just going to invite you to notice what's showing up in your body. All right, folks, we're going to drop this in. Whew. And as I'm dropping this in, what's interesting is, sometimes we'll think about The challenge around money is focused on lack, and that's not really the case always, right? There are people who are an abundance of money and still have plenty of challenges and frustrations around it. So as I'm working on this, let's just make some space for all of that to resolve, no matter if you're working in lack or excess, or you have just enough, whatever that is. Because our relationship with the monetary system obviously can change rapidly, quickly, in any which way. Okay? There you go. Haha. Okay, so we're just going to go there. Anywhere that there's any intentions or attachments that were placed on any level historically, I know that's like a big thing to say, let's clean all that up, okay? Because there's some sticky stuff here. It's not all great, and yeah, let's clean this up. Let's clean up our exchange, emotionally, energetically, in all ways. Anywhere that we are treating each other like possessions, let's clean that up, because if you're in a body here, you're a human, and let's make space for all of those individuals to be treated with wealth and equity. It's funny I said that, treated with wealth. Okay. And maybe that could be translated to being worthy. Okay? There you go. Nice. All right. All right, friends, here we go. Let's see what's hopping and popping on the west side here. All right, this is interesting. This feels very slippery over here. It feels like where the fluidity of that is slippery, right? And sometimes slippery things are important and they're great. Sometimes it means we can't hold on very easily and very well to what we're trying to hold on to and catch. This is also kind of where some funky integrity stuff is going on. This is like where, the term's called cooking the books, okay? This is where numbers are moved around and off. And so let's create some space here for these balance sheets to clean themselves up, okay? And, anytime that sort of pattern of, I'm going to say Wetiko, that's pervasive. I mean, it's we're all in it in some ways, especially in the Western world, that if numbers were treated with compassion and equity and truth, that there'd be way less room for that slipperiness to show up. So I'm gonna go in here again with 528 in crystal, and let's clean this up, okay? Let's clean up the numbers, okay? And what also drops in here is that those emotional exchange rates are not necessarily within those financial and numeric measurements. And even, when you think about the word cost of living, like, whoa, when really think about that, right? There's a cost to live, huh? That's an interesting paradigm, right? So let's make some space for you to choose consciously how you're participating in that exchange. And if your values have evolved to a place where you don't need the same things you did at one point, or you're able to work with less, or create more with less, or create a whole bunch out of nothing, that all of that can happen in grace, okay? And I'm just hearing to make peace with Venus. So, in some traditions and mythologies, Venus is about pleasure and money and love. So, let's make peace with Venus here. Here you go. And to just open up the space for hidden resources to reveal themselves, both internally and externally. Okay? Here you go. Anywhere that we're in an environment where people are thriving off of a paradigm of scarcity, to really shift that up. That scarcity model is hand in hand with all kinds of control mechanisms. And, thank you very much. We got the memo. We got the lesson. We're getting the lesson. There you go. Because in some ways, there are accruals of wealth happening on the planet that are beyond anyone's personal ability to, enjoy. Yeah. So anywhere that resources have been held hostage, let's make some space for that to move in grace. Anywhere there's a pathological accrual of wealth, let's unwind that. Anywhere there's slow leaks going on in your space, let's make some intention for some boundaries here, okay? Compassionately, right? There we go. All right, folks, you're doing amazing. This is our last stop here on the north side in this adventure of the economy of love. Wow, all right, so this feels really specifically to related to the heart. Anywhere that maybe the expressions of money and love have been overlapped or confused or not cleaned up. Let's make space for that to repair itself, if you will. And what's showing up here is that balance in the heart that happens, right? We have 4 chambers, and the timing around those all ideally wants to be in sync. And they all have a purpose and a role in that balance. And let's make some space for that to also show up in the way that we exchange resources. Like in the bigger picture of humanity, that balance between resources always seems to happen at some point or another. And so if we all had enough, and we're operating in an exchange of grace, that's a much more supportive trajectory that's sustainable as a species. So anywhere that there's running a story of entitlement, that this belongs to me and no one else, let's clean that up. And to make space from, greed to shift into gratitude. Great. And what drops in is even in our own physiology, there are times when certain parts of our body need more help than others, but ultimately that state of homeostasis and of balance is something that our body always wants to come back to and knows how to come back to. And when that certain part, and you could think about it as even if certain parts of humanity, sometimes certain populations need TLC for a certain period of time, okay? But eventually, that process resolves itself. And what I'm hearing here is almost like an exchange balance over a long period of time. There you go. Folks, we're going to drop this in, okay? And as I'm dropping that in, I'm just really aware of the feeling of balance that's emerging here, and stability and sustainability. And even if in your own life, if you're going through a period where it's a little choppy waters, I'm just going to invite everyone to engage those physical expressions of stability, even if that means you're taking 4 rocks and putting them in each 4 corners of your, living space. Like, that doesn't cost anything, right? But it can actually be really significant and powerful. So just to be clear that those acts of intention and awareness can go a really long ways. And that, your own state of love inside your own physiology cascades out into all of your relationships in the world at large. Okay, folks. That feels really good. We are going to get all this integrated. I'm going to use a 144 that's weighted. We're going to do some figure eights here. I'm going to go from north to south. We're going to do this 3 times. There you go. And I'm going to go from east to west here. Feeling into a nice state of flow and balance here. There you go. And next, what we're going to do, we're going to use a 528 here. We're going to gather up these 4 directions, all woven together into this beautiful sort of filament of light. And we're going to connect this with the source of everything that is, okay? I'm going to strike the 4-3 3 times. We're going to get everybody back in their body, our intention back into the earth. I'm acknowledging all of the guides and ancestral support of everybody with a lot of love and gratitude. And invite them to hang out with you and support you with everybody's consent in that picture, because the support of our ancestors and the memory of them in our space now, in a time when there was more than enough, is really powerful and important. I'm asking that all of the energy you worked with in the collective goes back to neutral. Nothing's hanging out in anybody's space. And we're bringing everybody back into their body. Okay, so here we go. Nice. All right, everybody. Well, I'm just extending lots of love and gratitude to you, and biggest blessings for a supportive journey in love and money. And may you thrive in an economy of love.